the Watchdog on Wall Street podcast, explaining the news coming out of the complex worlds of finance, economics, and politics, and the impact it will have on everyday Americans. Author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, and trader, Chris Markowski.
All right, happy Friday, everyone. We're going to bounce around a little bit on Fridays, try to have a little bit of fun here. I try to have fun every single day here, but maybe some lighter stories as well that we'll try to incorporate into the Friday podcast. I'm going to start off today, not on the lighter side. The United States is targeting Huawei. It is doing this in regards to, obviously, trade. There is a bit of intrigue when it comes to this because, well, the United States, we're a little bit behind when it comes to 5G technology. Now, it's 5G, everybody's talking about 5G. Most people don't have a clue what the hell 5G is. It's faster. So I can download my cat YouTube videos even quicker. No, it's not about that. Honestly, it isn't. The 5G technology is about all of this autonomous stuff that they want to be able to roll out. That's key. Need to have that type of speed to roll out many of the things that major corporations want to roll out. I mean, really, how much faster do you need to download your videos? Really? Listen, I'm telling you what's going to happen with 5G here in this country. You're going to get pushback. I'm already seeing it. I've got a little bucolic town that I live in here on the North Shore of Long Island, and we're a pretty conservative area to say the least. All right, we got a very, very voice-first people out there that think that 5G is coming to kill them. Not kidding. I got meetings going on at town halls, and they're all worried about 5G coming to kill them. And yeah, it doesn't take much to start conspiracy theories. It really doesn't. And the funny thing is that there's stories coming out and how actually want to talk about Russian meddling and how the Russians don't want us to put 5G in that quickly. They want to beat us to the punch, and they're the ones that are launching many of these conspiracy theories. The Russians are also part of the conspiracies in regards to fracking and how everyone's water is going to burn and we're all going to die because of fracking. Yeah. Why? Well, again, Russia is an oil and gas country. Anyway, we are a little bit behind when it comes to 5G technology here in this country in regards to some of the components that are being made. Pretty much there's Huawei and there's also Ericsson that make some of this stuff. Now, the United States is pushing back against Huawei because, they continue to find what they call backdoors into some of this, and there's fear that much of the technology could be stolen, or not so much technology, but information, could be stolen, and privacy and all this other stuff that we bat around all the time here in this country. So there's national security concerns as well. However, we already dealt with the ZTE, caught them red-handed, and we let them go. We caught ZTE, another Chinese tech company, caught them red-handed, and we let them off the hook. Donald Trump let them go. And again, I think that much of the reason behind that was because he wanted to jumpstart trade talks with China. This pushback against Huawei is a big deal. The reality is the United States starts saying, hey, listen, telling our partners, you can't buy this stuff. That would not be good for business. So, again, we'll see where this one goes. I have to talk a little bit about this. I do. I know I mentioned it briefly yesterday, but I have to do it again. I cannot believe. The more I think about it, I cannot believe Bill de Blasio has decided to throw his hat in the ring. From what I hear, you've got more coming. From what I hear, Stacey Abrams as well out of Georgia, she may decide to run. Bill de Blasio, and it was actually a pretty interesting piece about this character in the Wall Street Journal. They call him the model of modern progressivism. He has presided over the mismanagement of the New York City Housing Authority. The federal government had to impose a monitor. There's a quote. This is from the judge. Somewhat reminiscent of the biblical plagues of Egypt. These conditions inside New York City housing include toxic lead paint, asthma-inducing mold, lack of heat, frequent elevator outages, and vermin infestations. Bill de Blasio, because he's a big lib, thought that he's going to fix the public schools. Spent $800 million with no improvement in student performance. He wasted all that money while at the same time going after successful charter schools within the city that educate 123,000 children. He is a self-parody of progressive contradictions, railing against climate change while being driven around town in an SUV to his favorite gym for morning workouts far from his home. He says too much money is in the wrong hands, private hands, but trades political favors to wealthy campaign donors that skirt the edge of legality. Again, we can go on and on and on. He's campaigning against now steel and glass skyscrapers because they emit too much CO2. It's like the mayor of Las Vegas running against casinos. It's New York City, for crying out loud. The predecessors to Bill de Blasio. And I was a witness to Rudy Giuliani. I lived in Manhattan throughout Rudy Giuliani's term and then into Michael Bloomberg's term as well. And Michael Bloomberg was a bit of a pain in the neck, without a doubt, but they both made New York more livable. They cleaned up neighborhoods. And you want to call it the Giuliani Effect. They're going to be talking about this guy and his effect on the city of New York, just in real estate values alone. Astronomical. He turned the place around. Well, anyway, the neighborhoods aren't doing too well anymore. Homelessness, panhandling, vagrancy, turnstile jumping, public urination, drug use are all on the rise. Again, that's what liberals do. I've taken a look at this, and I do believe that it's nothing more than a resume enhancer. That's all. Bill de Blasio will be able, for the rest of his life, say he was a former presidential candidate. That's all. He'll be able to say that. And it's stuff that you can pad your little television resume. So when you decide to leave public office and you want to be in one of the Brady Bunch boxes at one of the major networks, you can do it. Hey, people, it's the cult of celebrity that we live in nowadays. It is what it is. Celebrity, it was actually a story in the Journal that was comparing the salaries of CEOs of major corporations in the country. And I think the highest paid CEO in the country is the Discovery CEO. He's making over $120 million. You know how much Howard Stern makes a year? $90 million a year. You know, most big-name actors and actresses and big-name athletes are making more than CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Jennifer Aniston is making more. She was hired by Apple to develop a television show that she's going to, I guess, star in on the new Apple streaming service that's coming out. She's making more at Apple than Tim Cook is. the world we live in. Anyway, touch on this. I saw this story. And again, as my longtime listeners know, we rant and rave about colleges here on the program, the high cost of college education, the fact that colleges and universities put themselves off as nonprofits. Well, that most of them have nonprofit status. But the reality of the situation is that they're hedge funds. They're businesses, pure and simple. And I understand that. And I listen, I get that. That's fine. But I don't like the fact that they have nonprofit status. That to me is absurd. But I saw this story, and I said, aha, I get it. The SAT. Yep, I have my eldest son is going to have to take that exam next year. The SAT is going to start giving students an adversity score. Yep. You're not going to see it. Students not going to see it. It's an adversity score to capture social and economic background. Aha. You know why they're doing this right now? Because the colleges and universities told them to. Because Harvard is being sued. Being sued by Asian Americans because they are not getting into the school because Harvard has too many Asians. That's right. They're a minority, but they're not getting into the school because they already have enough Asians. Racial quotas. Now, Harvard says, hey, we're in the business of creating diversity on campus. That's what we're supposed to do. They feel that it enhances the student experience. I don't care. I know people get bent out of shape over this. Not fair. My kid had higher grades and blah, didn't get in. You know what? Life's not fair. Life is not fair. If that school doesn't want you, how shall I put it? Blank them. Got it? With the F word. That's right. Go to another school. Go to another school and kill it. But it's not fair. Yep, you know what? Many things in life are not fair. I tie this into the whole college cheating, SAT stuff. And we talked about it here, and I laughed at it. I laughed at it in the sense that, we're the good old days where mom and dad would just write a check to the school and get their kid in. Right? That's the way you can do things. Now you got to do all this cloak and dagger behind the scenes, have somebody take the test. Listen, you know how many kids get into school just because their family went there? Or mom and dad can write a big fat check? It is what it is. And here's a message to all you kids out there that are getting all stressed out about the damn thing. Steve Jobs didn't graduate from college. Either did Mark Zuckerberg, either did Bill Gates, and countless others. They went to good schools. Well, Steve Jobs bounced around over there in the West Coast. But anyway, you're going to make of life what you want to make of life. And if you think your life is somehow going to be destroyed or ruined because you didn't get into that first choice school, well, guess what? I feel sorry for you. Granted, certain institutions in this country, in particular the Ivy League schools, are gateways to Washington, D.C. And if that's who you want to be, well, I don't really want to hang out with you anyway. You're not my type of individual. You want to be a part of the watchdog on Wall Street axis of evil? Nah. Who cares about you anyway? But yeah, this is why the SATs are doing this. They're helping out the colleges and universities. They help each other out. They do. They hook each other up. I told you here on the program, my son took his PSAT. And he got a certain grade, did fairly well. All of a sudden, all these colleges are sending us mail and emails and all this stuff. The PSAT, they took his scores and they sold them. We probably signed on a dotted line somewhere, and it was probably small font print that they're capable or they're able to do that. Now they're hooking up. They're hooking up some of their customers, saying, "Yeah, we'll help you out here. We'll put a diversity score on the SATs, so then you can say you are now using these diversity scores in deciding who can come to the school and who can't come to the school." By the way, speaking of Harvard, how should I put this? Harvard, you suck. They dropped Ronald Sullivan Jr. from his role as dean of a residential house. You want to know why they dropped him? For doing his job. He's a lawyer. His job is to defend people. He joined, believe it or not, the Harvey Weinstein legal defense team. That's his job. He's a lawyer. Well, that didn't sit well with all the snowflakes over at Harvard. Didn't sit well with those snowflakes, and they demanded that he be removed. And he did. They fired him. There was a day when, lawyers would get fired for representing gay people, civil rights demonstrators. But yeah, now we got to get rid of him because he's doing his job and we don't like what he's doing. Is that America to you? Question is, that make you feel warm and fuzzy inside about that college? Now, I get it. Okay, guys, I'm not naive. I know you get into a school like Harvard and the doors that it opens up to you. I get it. You just hold your nose and you deal with it. But it still sucks. Anyway, Donald Trump has proposed some new immigration rules. Basically, it focuses on the reorienting the existing visa system towards skilled workers and away from family-based immigration. I've said this before here on the program. I don't understand this. I really don't. We train kids. And let me tell you, tax dollars go to these colleges and universities. I don't care if they're private schools. You know it, and I know it. So kids come from all over the globe, and yeah, they pay tuition. I get that. So we train this brilliant physicist or chemist, whatever it may be. Wouldn't it be a good idea to maybe try to keep them here? I make it a part of for any of these kids that are coming here to go to school, to give them the option of getting a green card and trying to become an American citizen, actually helping them to provide the schooling there at colleges and universities. Isn't that a smart thing to do? I'll try to describe this in a different way. I'll describe this in terms of European soccer. European soccer, the various different clubs there, they do things differently than we do here in the United States. The major clubs over there, they take kids in at a very young age and they train them. They train them and the kids go to school there at the soccer academies. Now, if you got this soccer prodigy, we'll talk about Messi. Messi, they found Messi and he went to the Barcelona school. And he was trained there, went to school there. Well, they own his rights, meaning that he plays for Barcelona. If they want to sell his rights to another club, they can go ahead and they can do that. It's part of the deal. Now, I'm not saying we're going to own anybody, saying that they have to stay here. But isn't it smart, if we're helping to develop these really smart people, to let them stay? For a long period of time, we have rules with certain countries where citizens can come and invest in a U.S. company, buy a U.S. company, employ people, and they can come and work here in the United States. And I think that's fantastic. Why wouldn't we want to expand on that? Trump stated our proposal is pro-American, pro-immigrant, pro-worker. This plan was not developed, I'm sorry to say, by politicians. It was designed with significant input by our law enforcement professionals. Again, skill categories. There's three skills-based categories for which he intends to brand his the Build America visa. Workers with extraordinary talent, workers in sought-after specialized vocations, and exceptional students. And he wants to hold the line at 1.1 million visas a year. And again, I'm not a big visa guy. I said that time and time again. I don't understand. I don't like H-1B visas. I don't like H-2B visas. I don't like any of that nonsense. It creates an underclass. It does. You want to come here? You want to work here? There's enough people that want to come to the United States. Why don't we take the ones that want to move here permanently and become citizens and participate? Why not? There's enough people from around the globe that would want to come here that we can do things that way. I don't understand why we have to import this labor and then send it packing. Just don't get it. Anyway, and this is going to affect South Florida. The Trump administration is also preparing to release hundreds of asylum-seeking migrants caught along the southern border into, Broward and Palm Beach County, with no plan to house, feed, or care for them. Not going to be too happy down there in South Florida having to deal with this. Listen, I don't understand. I don't understand why South Florida. I don't. I can understand San Francisco. I can understand other sanctuary cities. Go ahead. Hey, I live in the New York metropolitan area. Drop them off at City Hall, right in front of Mayor de Blasio. He wants New York City Bank to be a sanctuary city. Let's see him handle this. Nah, they won't do it, but they should. Okay, on the political frontier, I got a funny feeling that this was going to happen. All of the establishment types, all of the CNN pundits, the anti-Trumpsters out there, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, right on down the line. Guess what? They're going after one another now. That's right. We've got a big dispute right now over whether James Comey or John Brennan promoted the unverified Steele dossier. An email chain exists which indicates that Comey told Bureau subordinates that Brennan insisted on the dossier's inclusion in the intelligence community assessment on Russian interference. Also interesting is that the dossier was referred to as Crown material in the emails. However, John Brennan, former CIA official, put the blame squarely on Comey. Former Director Brennan, along with former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, the ones who opposed Comey's recommendation that the Steele dossier be included in the intelligence report. Right. So, again, who's lying? Who's telling the truth? I don't know. But I mentioned this a few months ago about John Brennan. And again, things that make you just go, Now, they try to prove this Russia collusion bit, right? Donald Trump. But I find it the slightest bit fascinating that both John Brennan and James Comey voted communist. Voted for communists back in 1980. They voted for communists. How the hell can you? I don't get this. I don't know how. I don't know who the type of I don't know, background checks. How do you go from being a commie bastard during the Cold War to running the CIA and then running the FBI? Could you imagine? I just put this in perspective. Could you imagine if Donald Trump in his past had voted for a communist, was hanging out with communists? Do you have any idea how these guys would go about using that, how that would have played out in the mainstream media? Oh, you see, he even voted for communists, even though I guess communist is fashionable today. But they would have found a way that proves that he is tied to Vladimir Putin, who used to be a KGB agent. You know it, and I know it. European Union has fined more than a dozen banks $11.8 billion over allegations of collusion and manipulation in the Forex market. Why do I bring this up? I cover a lot of ripoffs and scams on the weekend, but I'm bringing this up again because over the past 18 months, we've dealt with a plethora of foreign currency scams. People out there claiming that they have some sort of quick fix. Again, they've got the goods. They've got the algorithms. We're setting up in the Caymans. This is what rich people do. We can show you returns of 20, 25%, and we'll never lose money. The minimum you'll see is anywhere between 8 and 10. These are the type of pitches that I've seen that have wiped people out. Why do I bring up this case here with the EU finding these 5 banks? These 5 banks, all trading Forex, they talk to one another. That's why they got caught. They collude on trades. I've said it again and again and again. The only people that are making money trading foreign currencies, you have to be working at the big banks. Way back in the day, you might have been able to play certain currencies from time to time when there were many more currencies. You fail to realize how many currencies bit the dust once the euro was put into effect. I had no more lira, no more drachma, no more franc, no more Deutschmark, right on down the line. These guys know exactly what they are doing. So when you get cold called or you get something in the mail from some foreign currency broker out there, some telling you that they can blow away the markets. And I know they're rap. They tell about the size of the foreign currency market, and this is where the big money is, and they just lie. They can't do it. Avoid these crooks, please. Anyway, another story, another mainstream. Like I said, you're going to be seeing many of these. I think that there is also a folder on the desks of many of these so-called journalistic establishments where they have go-to stories when there is a Republican in the White House. And here's one of them. Half of Americans are just one paycheck away from financial disaster. How many times did you hear that story when Obama was in the White House and the economy was doing much, much poorer than it is today? How many times? Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah. It's the same story. They run the same thing again and again and again, talking about how working adults in the United States would need to access savings to cover necessities if they missed more than one paycheck. Well, who wouldn't have to? I would, if I lost and I didn't get paid, I wouldn't have to dip into my savings to pay bills. This is how stupid this article is. This is the type of crap that they call journalism today. I'm not kidding. This is a study found that 51% of working adults in the United States would need to access savings to cover necessities if they miss more than one paycheck. No crap, Sherlock. What else are they going to access? They're going to go to their gun cabinet and go out and rob and steal? This is the stupidity of journalists today. One quick one before I have to go. Fun one before we have to go. Yes, life in Iran. Men in Iran have been ordered not to look at women during Ramadan as part of a round of draconian restrictions. Yes, you cannot do not look at women during Ramadan. It's that old saying. It said, the moment I start looking, dig a hole about 6 feet deep. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com is our site. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com, our newsletter. Consultations with our certified financial planners. All sorts of great things there at the site. Again, 24-hour day help hotline, 800-471-5984. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. God bless. Hey, don't forget, big weekend program. As always, over 250 stations around the country. My Watchdog on Wall Street terrestrial radio show going strong. Longest running financial program for 20 years now.